classic game unfold. And this is the first one of many of 2026. So yeah, going back to what I was talking about earlier on, effective communication. You need to be able to talk to your noobs, because they're going to be the ones that are the most lost. There are some players in this, say for instance in this team, right? Everybody up here has 100 hours, and everybody down here has 1,000 hours, right? I need these 100-hour players to know that what they're doing is valuable, not just to me, but to us as a team and to win. If they don't see the end goal, if they don't see the byproduct of their efforts, they might spend like an hour setting up power and then just leave the game because they don't know why they're doing it. So constantly, I wouldn't say pandering to them or babying them, because these are grown-ass people. Maybe there's some teenagers and kids playing, but you know what I mean? Like, these are grown-ups. These know what they're doing. But you need to make sure that you're reinforcing the fact that you're glad you picked them and you're glad they're on your team and that they're doing the right thing. And if somebody is a bit lost, I always do like a check-in. I have like a mental, every 15 minutes, every 20 minutes, I'll like pop into a different voice chat that I see some of the guys in, because you can break off into different voice chats in Discord. And I'll just ask the question, how you guys doing? Do you need help? Do you need, if you're going quicker than you think you are, can I give you another job? And just constantly feedback, constantly get an understanding of where you're at, because the best team chats that I pop into are the ones where I have to wait for them to stop talking and having a bit of fun so that I can ask a question. If you go into a Discord chat with 5 people and it's pure silence, one of 2 things is happening. One, could be amazing concentration, and everybody's just flying around and doing everything they can, so they haven't got time to talk because they're just fully locked in. Or more likely than not, there are 5 strangers who don't particularly talk that well to each other, and that could be causing some friction. So try and be that kind of social lubricant, and at least at the bare minimum, try and create leaders within mini teams, right? This is a really simple, basic concept. If you've ever coached or played sport before, you'll know this. If I break you up into a team of 4 or 5, I'll typically designate the person who talks the most as the person to feed back to me. Because if at the bare minimum, if they're talking, then there's a good chance that when we need stuff happening or when the pressure is on, they'll also talk to the rest of their team. And again, guys, and I know I don't have to say this to you because you already know this, but like, communication needs to be honest, it needs to be open, but it does not need to be toxic. If you don't like what somebody's doing, you don't have to necessarily like tell them directly. If you have a problem with the way things are going, we don't have to be passive aggressive about things or just start chewing somebody out. That's not what we do here. Like, seriously, I've never seen it work where, let's say for instance, Banana's doing something that the Cobra doesn't like. If the Cobra starts shouting at Banana, and again, it doesn't happen, but if it did, if this was like a Call of Duty lobby or FIFA or whatever, if this guy starts shouting at this guy, do you think this guy's going to play better? No. In fact, there's a good chance he's going to think, what am I doing here? Why am I wasting my time if all that's happening is I'm putting in effort and I'm getting some guy shout at me and nobody's telling him to shut up or just not do that? So obviously, as a team, you have to find a way to win. And sometimes it's just through pure hard work. Sometimes it's hard work working with your team. Sometimes it's hard work because there's a language barrier. Sometimes it's hard work because the plan is difficult to pull off. But hard work is good work, and we're about to see the first game of 2026 spring into life. And with that, let's see if they've reset, because what is this? Why do the North have research already? Am I an idiot? Oh yeah, let me put the prediction up. Yeah, let me do that as well. All right, feel free to predict with your channel points the outcome of the game. I think I'll put about 30 minutes on this. We'll see after the first 30 minutes whether or not, it's going in the direction we think it is, or opposite too. So let's put my prediction hat on. Prediction. Start one up. Who wins, North or South? Got it. All right, feel free to bet your hard-earned channel points as to who wins. Don't feel the need to bet straight away as well. Like, you have time. You have lots of time to have a look at what's going on and figure out what you like, what you see. As you can see at the beginning of the game, we're not sprawling out too far, although Mitmop appears to... What? Okay. Mitmop is having an oily adventure. Within the first minute, we have an oily adventure out to the east. Good job, Mitmop. We see a little bit of resource collection out here. This isn't tree dense. So, hey, nice to have you with us, mate. Rotanimod, and I'm sorry if I butcher your name. Welcome. I hope you're having a good year so far. It's only a couple days in. I hope you're staying warm, and welcome back, mate. I am now fully back into streaming. I've got some plans. I'm not going to talk too heavily about those plans here, but yeah, I've I've got a lot on my plate in the not too distant future, and it's mostly about streaming and about playing video games. So I will obviously be streaming on Saturday, and Sunday I think I'm going to play. I think I'm going to get into some games and learn the new meta, because I think things have changed since I last played. But yeah, welcome in everyone. For anybody that's new, I forget to mention this until the end of the game, and then this kind of missed opportunity to. If anybody out there is brand new, you're tuning into Bite of Battles for the very first time, and you're looking at this going, what the hell? This looks fun. I like Factorio, but I don't know what this is. Why is there a big river in the middle, and who's Carl, and what's life, and why are there mixed patches? What is this? What do you even do with this? Please ask questions. My name is Ghosty. I'm the indisputed champion of this game mode. I somehow have managed to become the voice of streaming Bite Battles and casting tournaments and refereeing games, etc. I didn't choose the life chose me. We like to have fun here, obviously. We don't take things too seriously, but if any of you out there are brand new to this and you don't know what you're looking at and you have questions, please feel free to ask the questions. You'll find that in my chat, or in this current chat now, there are some seasoned veteran players that will be able to help add texture and context to the questions that you ask, and I'll answer every question I can get my hands on reading. So I'm going to make sure I keep up with chat. As you can see at the moment, I don't have chat running on my screen. I somehow that's bugged today. Again, I need to shake the rust off my stream. So this I like. Although we're just looking at spam here, right? Oh, my dog's barking. Can you hear that? I hope you can't hear my dogs barking. I just need to go check on them real quick because they're going mental. Let's follow somebody real quick. I just want to go and check on. I've got a puppy and a slightly older dog, and they are just going nuts at the moment. So, yeah, I'm gonna go follow Carl, and I'll be back in about 60 seconds. It worries me when there's nothing to bark at and they are going absolutely mental. So yeah, I'll be back in a second, then we'll check in how the beginning of this game has opened up and also what both teams are going for. So yeah, I'll see you guys back here in a second. Okay, I am back. Let's check in on what's going on. Sorry about that. I have got, unfortunately, a very, very young dog that is quite nervous about the sounds of anything outside. Right, so the South are looking to stick down a ton of smelting. And as you can see now, they've denoted each smelting line for C for copper, I for iron, and I believe there'll be an S for steel, but those smelting arrays are quite obvious in terms of how they look and what they're going to produce. And coincidentally, obviously, the North are going for a similar setup. I think this is more about now who can be the most efficient in this early game. Like, how much power do we need exactly? Don't overproduce, let's just make some, get this up and running, and then from there, work out what our build requires. It appears that it's 6 minutes in, it's not mid-game. Oh damn, yeah, we haven't even started really, if I'm being totally honest. We have Zero Sun up north, looking to probably threat farm. Nazdar. Naz. I'm going to call him Naz, right? I don't want to get people's names wrong. Naz out here on an iron patch with some coal next to it. That's brilliant for smelting. We have Coffee Isle down south, already threat farming. You love to see it. Let's bring up our little tabs. And now the teams are starting to flesh out. Brilliant. So we have 18 players on north, 17 on south. The teams are getting nice and chunky. And I like this. I like the use of these early game turrets. As long as he didn't build them and he picked them up from main, this is really nice. You know, eventually these turrets become kind of useless anyway, so you may as well make the most of them. Obviously, at the beginning of the game, the bugs are at their weakest, so yeah, you may as well just have them do some work for you, right? Okay, so Dark Grenade looks like they're moving closer towards Threat Farm. It doesn't seem to me like anybody's moving out to Outpost. Am I wrong here? Like, I wonder if anybody's going to physically move out. There's more than enough people here. I know we're on normal difficulty, so spam might be the flavor of the day, but I don't know, dude. Like, am I... This is an interesting... I can't wait to see what this turns into. I have an idea, and it's obviously spam, but I want to see how they've managed to kind of figure this flipped, mirrored build out, because I haven't seen anything like this before. Typically with spam, you just kind of build it on top of each other. To see it like this... Obviously, this is a concerted plan. Like, somebody has, you know, sat down and calculated the maths, but, yeah. All right. So, Muddlebox is in. Hey, nice to have him back. Yeah, not a huge amount to say at the beginning of the game. I mean, obviously, pieces are falling into place. We do have our threat farmers on south, probably some setup from the north as well. In terms of research, let's take a quick look to see who's researching what. Yeah, moving into green and electric mining already. The north are moving into military once they get a couple of green jugs in, and they've already... Okay, so north are slightly ahead on research. In fact, quite far ahead, all things considered. They've already banked up electric mining, they've banked logistics, they've banked their military. This is Mill 2, and they've gone for steel, whereas all of that is on the chopping block for the south, and they're opting to go straight into electric mining. So the south are... I wouldn't say massively behind, but you know, you could argue here probably a minute or two behind the clock. And at 8 minutes in, that's kind of considerable amount of time, not necessarily wasted, but not well spent. Now, arguably, just because it takes you a little bit longer to get up to speed doesn't mean that you're not going to carry that momentum into the late game. So, you know, you might just have a heavier, weightier late game because you spent time setting up at the beginning. So having the advantage at the beginning of the game doesn't necessarily indicate that you're playing better. It just means that your plan, if you're north, is coming off faster. And speed, you know, speed kills, but at the same time, speed can kill you too. So hopefully, both of these teams can bring their game plans into line. Again, I think it's going to be a blue rush. I can't think anything more than that. If we get to, you know, if we see rockets in this game, I will put a hat on and eat it. I'm not currently wearing a hat, but I'll put one on my head, take it off, and get a knife and fork out and swallow it. There is 0% chance, zero, and I mean that, donut percent chance that we see rockets this game. I'll eat my beanie if we see yellow. I have a beanie downstairs. Like, I'll eat that if we see yellow signs. There's no way. You know, you're playing against somebody who won't be able to. You're playing in a game where somebody isn't taking advantage inherently of the difficulty settings if they're allowing you to get to yellow, to get to purple. A smidge of purple, a dash of purple, a sprinkling of purple would be fine. Like 50 to 100 jugs of purple signs, yeah, I get that, that can be a thing. But there's no way we see mass production of any late game science in this game whatsoever. Like, somebody, if we get to late game, somebody clip up what I've just said. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. They're already building their mill rush. So, and again, you've got to hand it to them, right? If you're going to come into a game, the Soldier, by the way, is one of the most successful captains that we have. He's a veteran player. He's played on all different... I've had him in threat farming with me. I've had him in main. I've seen him outpost. He can follow through on any position that was asked of him. And this is his game captaining. So, you know, he'll have a plan. And so the plan won't be to just concede and just fold. But I believe with Joshua up north, going up against somebody like the Soldier, you need something new. You need something different. And I don't know whose build this is. I'll have to ask in chat, in Discord later. But this is of somebody's design, right? Somebody has come up with this. And I love it. I love a bit. I do this every now and again. I'll go into my my editor and just try and crank out a couple of new builds. None of them work. But they're all good fun. It's all worth doing. Okay, just a couple of admin stuff. Have the teams grown anymore? No, we're sat at 18 and 17. So, yeah, I mean, pretty decent, right? We have like 35 people. Just think of that. There are 35 people playing currently in a competitive game of Factorio on a Saturday afternoon in 2026. Evening, depending on where you are. Morning, depending on exactly what time zone you kind of currently inhabit. But that's kind of awesome, right? 35 plus people. On top of people watching, on top of the Spectator Island people. Yeah, Factorio is, in 2026, very much alive and kicking. So you think this... so this is an Enkling design. I like it. I like seeing stuff like this. There used to be... I always talk about this because I really, really back it. There used to be a player called Fang. Fang was a Chinese player who spoke very little English. However, his designs, the way that he designed things, was absolutely perfect. It was like... literally pixel perfect. You know, you could not have crammed in more stuff into a smaller kind of build. It was just absolutely optimal. And he used to, like, every month, maybe even every other month, you'd see a brand new way of building blue, a brand new way of building purple that just made, until you see it, you think, oh, well, why didn't we think of this before, you know? Honestly, we should build a big scripting option so people can use it in non-tournament captain games. Okay. So again, smelting lines being put down. We have the beginning of a mall coming out to the back end of this. For any of you guys that don't know, and I'm sure every single person watching does, but I may as well go through this since we have a little bit of downtime. Your raw materials are on the ground. You don't want to be picking them up by hand. You want them being mined. So electric miners come into play. You don't want to be then transporting the stuff coming out in electric miners, so you need to belt them into smelting arrays that convert that raw material into a stage 1, a phase 1 plate or bar. And then that will pass its way down to the next set of production, the next set of buildings that will create an intermediary product that will be used in either building up the base even further or used in research. Here we see, just to kind of show the loop fully for anybody that's brand new, this is iron ore on the ground. We have stuck down some electric miners that are being powered by our steam-powered buildings over here, our power block. And obviously, just to feed that, we need coal and water. From there, on these belts, which don't require power, we have the ore transporting down towards these furnaces. And if we can put coal as well as the raw material into these furnaces on the other side, obviously using a bit of power, and obviously we spread power using these power poles, the plates will then come down a long transport belt to then be placed into, using other inserters, buildings that will convert them into products that we need. So I know all of you guys know this. I'm sure that maybe if there's one or two people in chat that aren't aware or aren't particularly sure, that's fine. But that is the order of operations. We don't want to be doing too much stuff ourselves. We want to keep us busy, so we have buildings that do things for us. This is called automation, and it's why we love this game. Now, there is no definitive one way of making things happen. Everybody has their own unique twist on how things should be done. The way that builds are created and the way that builds are funded and fueled are different. For instance, here we have what I would call a science flower. We have a central building that we just put iron plates into, and that will feed all of these buildings iron gears. To make red science, which is the most basic level of science, we only need two basic components. We need some copper plates, number one, and number two, some iron gear wheels. So by placing a central building here and these buildings around it, we can very slowly, this is not quick, but this is manageable at the beginning of the game when you need just a little bit of science research going into your labs. These buildings will churn out 1 or 2 jugs every now and again, as long as you can hand feed them the copper, and this building will feed them the gears. And then if you put a lab outside, and this is how we do research, if you can create any of these jugs, these coloured jugs, so I'm expecting the milk. The reason I'm waffling now, the reason I'm yapping is that I think in about 5 or 10 minutes it's going to begin. You know, it's going to start raining science. So yeah, if you can create any of these jugs and put them into a laboratory, depending on where you're from, you can start researching. As we know, the tech tree in Factorio is vast. And to be honest with you, you don't need all of this stuff to win a game of biter battles. You need some of it though. And almost like racing a perfect race, there is an optimal line that gets you through the tech tree to a point at which you think you could win. For instance, if you need to get to blue signs because that is your win condition, throwing lots of blue signs at the enemy, then you need to research everything in line with that. If you want to go even further and go down the military science route, or if you think you need laser towers, for instance, that requires you to deviate off the main line, off the winning line, to accommodate that research. So yeah, that's what makes these games really fun to watch, really fun to cast, and really fun to play in. The map is never the same. The teams that you have will never be the same. The way that you play each map is different, and the map itself is random every time. So you'll never have the same ore patch at the same size, in the same location. You'll never have the same water features in the same place. It's honestly the best fun you can have because it's always different. And so the way that we have the most, or the way that makes this game mode as fun as possible for the guys that have played it for a long period of time, is adapting to each scenario that's handed to you and independently thinking that problem through and then getting a solution. So, you know, for instance, we need uranium ore for a nuclear reactor in the late game. So late game, we have loads of lasers going down and lots of buildings need to be fueled. So a nuclear reactor is the best way to do that. And there are so many different designs for nuclear reactors. So if I pick Neuro, as my nuke builder, my nuclear scientist for the game, I can guarantee you that he's going to build a different nuke every time compared to somebody like Ragnar or somebody like Banana. And so by picking certain players, you're buying into the idea that they have a way of doing things. They have a methodology that works, not just for them, but also for you. So stylistically speaking, the captains have the teams that they want. They have the players that play the way that they want to play the game. And I did the same. I did the same thing as a captain. I would pick people that I knew could achieve certain goals at certain times. Again, I don't want to go too heavily into it because I still want to play, right? I don't want to give away too much of the secret sauce. But you need to know this. You need to know people in the server, right? You don't need to know their names. You don't need to know where they're from. But what you need to do is you need to know how they play. And then where they're best placed in your version of winning the game, right? At some point, if you're a captain, you envisage that the enemy silo explodes. How you get to that point is completely up to you. And for anybody that doesn't know, and I'm sure all of you do, but again, the game mode is this. For any of the new people coming in and tuning in, I'm sure there aren't many, but if any of you are out there, the game mode is centered around a silo that both teams are given at the beginning of the game. The silo is placed on equidistant either side of the river. This river bisects the map and cannot be crossed. And your job as a team is to protect this rocket silo from exploding. The only way... Oh, dogs. 1 second. They always bark at the worst time. Yeah, so over the course of the game, this rocket silo is under threat, and you must protect it at all costs. Woof woof indeed, yeah. The bugs on the map are the danger, and the enemy team can pump the bugs' strength up, their size up, and the number of them up by sending signs across the river. So at the moment, the bugs are very weak, and there aren't many of them, so a gun, or a grenade, a pistol, a submachine gun, or a grenade can deal with the bugs very easily. Over the course of the game, they will evolve, becomes too strong for bullets, become too strong for grenades, and we have to find a way through that. We have to find a way of beating them off the back of that. And that's where the fun of the game comes in, because you will get raided as a team by the bugs. And so if you don't protect your base well enough, if you don't protect your builder nerds well enough, or you don't protect your silo well enough, the game will end. So it's this constant backwards and forwards of being offensive, fighting the bugs, being defensive, building up a base that will survive, and then being intellectually smart enough to understand where your tech tree needs to go, and then delivering that as fast and as efficiently as possible, whilst keeping a tab on what the enemy are doing and trying to counterplay them as well. Counterplay is a completely separate topic. If I could give you a lecture, a university-based lecture on counterplay. I'm actually thinking about setting up a series talking about some of the more complex elements of the game mode, because I appreciate that. If you've ever seen any of these streams before, I like to cover some of the basics because a lot of the people that watch this are casual Factorio players. However, I think that there is a room in the space to talk about much more complex and nuanced parts of this. And I realise that I've kept a lot of this in my own head and not spoken about it openly to the rest of the community, because it's something that I figured out that I don't really want to pass off. It's like a competitive advantage. I'm not the only one. Everybody's got their little thing that they know that they like to do. But there are, let's say, momentum swings that you can capitalise on in certain ways at certain times, and that can certainly cause massive issue with your opposition, if you do so choose to do that. The less said about that, the better. Wait for me to produce a little video series about that. We'll break it all down, and I'll package it up. And it's a free to watch video, by the way. I don't want to put this behind some kind of like pay to... Yeah, I'll share my secrets, but not today. Right, mill spam is in, mill spam is on. Let's take a look at who's producing what. Again, we're in normal game mode now. So at the 16-minute mark, we produced our first military science jug on North, and we have produced a total of 320 of them, having thrown 176 over the water. By throwing 176, we have pushed the South's evolution up to 20%. Now, 20%, it's manageable. You can kill them still with bullets, bombs, you know, grenades and stuff. But, you know, they've evolved once. They've gone up one stage in their evolution. And here we can see that we have some brown bugs, which are the very small biters, but weaved into those are some of these pink shell bugs, which are bigger, they hit a little bit harder, and they take more to kill. So these medium-sized bugs are a big problem. And again, if you're builder nerds, they don't have grenades, they go down. Almost as if I was predicting that would happen. And this is the danger for South now. If they lose any of this like middle stage production, you know, these buildings going down is massive. Losing any human influence in this area right now, losing a player or two is huge. So you're going to have to grenade parts of your own build, right? And beyond that too, having been infested in the middle of your smelting lines with a wave or two of bugs, you have another one coming down too. And this is why we love the game mode. There's pressure coming from all sides, and it's how you can survive, right? You're not just trying to kind of float, you need to be able to swim in the waves of pressure that come at you. Now, obviously, there are some very, very talented players in the server, and they will, at 20% or 27% now, be able to survive this easily. It's the later stages. It's losing 3 buildings that should be producing stuff, right? The longer this is decommissioned or staying out of commission, the slower you're building up to blue signs, building up to purple spam. If you want to go there, it will take you. So yeah, so far so good from the North. They've done a really good job of creating this early game pressure and then applying it. I say this all the time, having an advantage is one thing, but you need to be able to push your advantage, force your advantage home. And at the moment, yeah, if I'm a threat farmer, I have my work cut out for me. I don't just, you know, want to sit in a pocket and farm. I need to go and catch waves. Ultimately, a vehicle might need to be required. You know, we might need to deviate from the tech tree and start researching cars, for instance, so that we can move over to this area of the map or move into this area of the map to catch this wave. Because now, as you can see, guys, the bugs are not just mostly brown. It's a 50-50 mix of medium-sized bugs and small bugs. And eventually, the small bugs will evolve out of this. And the only thing you'll have are medium, and then the next evolution up is obviously big. And then the evolution beyond that is behemoth-sized bugs. So, yeah, the North are certainly applying pressure to the South. 19 on time 19. We almost have 40 people playing competitive Factorio on a weekend. And the only throws that have occurred this game so far have been Joshua throwing, and Enkling as well, throwing military science, as we predicted, military or blue. A total of 400 jugs, 450 jugs have gone across, and they have caused massive amounts of damage in terms of pushing the evolution up to 30%. Meanwhile, the North are enjoying 5% bugs. Look at this. Zero Sum can run around, he can shake their hand, you know, he can shoot them if he wants, he can melee them. These bugs are really easy to deal with, right? Let's go South. Yeah, not so much. And here we have a dead player. So yeah, they are absolutely carving up. At 30%, 31%, still very manageable. However, we are going to start getting to a point where you may need to start researching stronger guns, faster firing speed. You may need to convert into red ammo, potentially. I wouldn't advise going to red ammo at all, but some people think it's a good shout. We may even have to, if things are really, really bad, go for early capsules or defenders. However, I think that these threat farmers are going to become fast overrun. And we're seeing it now, aren't we? We're seeing them getting slightly shoved out of position. And this can happen. This can happen to even the most veteran of threat farmers, you know? You need to be ready for stuff like this. Arguably, knowing that it was going to be on normal difficulty, we could have predicted with relative ease that this stage of the game, the opening 30-40 minutes, some jugs would be flying around at some of the maps. So I hope that the South can balance this, can re-establish a foothold in this area. Military science only takes you so far, right? You can only send so much before it stops being useful. However, there is an inflection point. If you get the bugs to 50%, they evolve once more into the blue-shelled bugs, which are big, and they are incredibly difficult to kill with basic ammo, oh damn, there's so many waves, dude. All very manageable, but each one of these requires an effort. Somebody needs to come off of their job and deal with this. Somebody needs to come off of their job and deal with this. And I like this move from Kojito. He's already thinking about walls. So already we're thinking about making a small castle, turning this part of a map into a bit of a bastion of defense. And I wish I had my drawing tools, because I'd be able to show you what those walls will look like and how you defend them with different patterns, but that'll be for another day. That'll be for a deeper tournament game. For now, yeah, the South are getting hammered. However, they're still progressing, right? They still have a lot of labs down with a lot of research going in. They're not slowing down on that front. They've rebuilt the area that previously was infested with bugs, and they are carrying on. One second, guys, my phone's going off. So I'm just going to talk to this person real quick and then I'll get back to streaming. My apologies. Okay, that was fine. So yeah, the North are just setting themselves up. They're in a level of peace and quiet that the South are yet to kind of experience. Massive waves are currently flooding all over the map and causing large amounts of issues. At 35.5%, you can imagine the temperature on the South is starting to rise now. Once we start hitting the 40s, mid-40s, we are closing in on something that will be almost impossible to deal with. Now, I like what Teo's doing here. He's eyeballing up the initial wall and using this this lake area as a bit of a defensive area. However, we need people to jump on this. We need people jumping on this like a trampoline. Not doing that. Again, we cannot lose our wall box. We cannot really lose our wall production. So this is a real killer for the South. They're losing the one thing that could potentially save them from these waves, which is just, a physical defense. Not only that, their players are getting destroyed. I mean, I feel like I'm seeing a Southern player die every 30 seconds now, and that's not ideal. Again, all you really need to do to kite these waves back is just give yourself some space, a couple of grenades, and make sure that you've got enough healing stuff to keep yourself in the game. If you can do that, you'll survive. And we've just hit the 40% mark. This is dangerous for the South. Very, very dangerous for the South. The waves will continue. I get the feeling the North have kind of had it the whole way. I haven't had to talk a huge amount about them. Let's have a look up North. Are they pushing anything into research here? Are they going anywhere different than we might see? They're moving to blue. I guess they may as well. Meanwhile, the South have just... Oh, that's terrifying. The South have only just finished researching military science. A full 15 minutes? I mean, they haven't produced any yet. So yeah, I mean... They are... What do they... Have they independently researched stuff that's completely conducive to theirs? No, they haven't got any exclusive research either. You could argue potentially they went into like shooting upgrades to defend, but no. I wonder what did they just grow too big too fast? They may have just grown a bit too big too fast, right? They might have had too large an ambition. And it takes a while to plug everything in. Obviously you can see some of these lines aren't fully saturated. So it takes a while to convert these burners into the, your electric miners. Power seems stable for them as well. They do have a wall going down. This is big. You'd be surprised how important having something like this on the map is. Even if it just gets chewed down, this is something that they can focus in on the bugs that you can use as a barrier. This is merely a speed bump, but a welcome speed bump, considering a couple minutes ago, this line just got trashed. So they have some walls at some part of the map. And Theo, being an incredibly good player, obviously, is able to collect 2 full waves there, and with about 6 or 7 grenades, the wave is gone, and they survive to fight another day. If the South are going to win this game, it's by constantly being active on this front and taking the fight to the bugs. Luckily, both of their threat farmers are still in the fight. They're still here, they're still producing. So Yeah, dude, this is a really good game. The North haven't had to do much. And my worry is that if you spend too long not needing to defend or not needing to build up, you might be susceptible to a bit of a sucker punch down the line. You know, we could enter a situation where potentially, I'm not saying definitely, but potentially, the North might be exposed to something if this military science build doesn't eventually pay off. We need to transition out of this eventually, right? It's done well. They're at 44%. They'll almost more than likely get to 50% on the South from the North sending. What do we do after that? You know, where are we going after that? And yeah, Carl carries on. The soldier carries on, Pipes carries on, and the waves hit the wall again. And this is what you need. You need to be able to catch them. This wall effectively is like a tiny net. You know, if anything, this wave in particular would be here by now, causing you massive problems. And I say this all the time, but walls are incredibly cheap to build and cheap to replace, right? I feel sorry for this outpost though. I feel like it's been hit quite hard. Pavev, incredibly strong player, is dead. I'm not saying this might be the end of his outpost, but this might tear up a decent chunk of this outpost, unfortunately. Oh damn! 1 second. I have 7 messages on Discord. What? Why do I have no? Sorry, that's just popped up. I'm going to change the music. Give me a second. Somebody's just spammed me on Discord, and I just want to make sure that I'm not forgetting something here. What do you guys want to listen to? What are we into? I've gone from jazz to some, what is this, disco? Let's listen to some house. I like a bit of house. You know? That works for me. Let me know if it's terrible and I'll turn it off. I'm open to suggestions as well, so if you guys want to listen to pirate metal, please just put it into chat, whatever you want to hear. We did space music last year, clown music. I have a database here of a couple of 100,000 songs, and so the genre of music that you're looking for, we almost certainly can find. So we listened to some Christian rap. It wasn't bad, man. We listened to some reggae metal. That was kind of funky. I did like that. So yeah, if there's a genre of music that you know of or that you think you might want to listen to, I'm not going to say we'll play loads of it, but we'll certainly explore it. It's a way of keeping some fun going whilst this middle of the game happens, right? At the moment, here's what's going on. The North are spamming the South with military science. Their goal is to get to 50%. The South are surviving now, but you know, surviving is a fluid term because they are still getting hammered in areas, but in some not so much. And if they can get these, on these pods, a flame turret, then I think they survive longer than they might assume. However, the bugs are on the wrong side of the wall here. These guys need to be over here. But they are managing it. They are handling this. Not with ease, however. But the wall is here. They're outlining parts of it already. There we go. So they're drawing a box around their base. I believe their base is a little bit too wide, though. If I'm the captain, I'd need to cut this wall off around about here. And just say, look, if you're going to build power, do it far away, and then bring that power back. Because, yeah, you don't want to build a wall that's far. Like running from this area here all the way to an edge of a wall here, it's just unfeasible. It's unreasonable. It's incorrigible. Is what it is. So the North are shoving military science down the South's throat. The South is surviving, though. Let's take a look at their research real quick. They've already got their flame towers researched. Okay, so now all they have to do is start making those flame towers and putting them down. And hopefully, we'll see the first few of them coming down, because this is something you don't see a ton of in biter battles nowadays, is physical defenses. And I think they're super underrated, super duper underrated. But here we go. Oil, a decent amount of oil exists out here, so you need to find it and plug it in. It needs people to deal. This needs to be completely shut down, shut off. Jimmy 50 shouts power. Let's take a look. Oh, okay. That's a slight drop of the ball. Are we just missing something here? No? We just need more of it, right? So these military spam is severely dragging massive amounts of power down. Now, you could argue they've done their job, you know. We're almost at 50%. The research is coming in nicely. Blue science is being researched, which is great. Let's take a look at production real quick. When was the first flamer tower was built at the 35-minute mark? They've built 4 of them and placed only 1. So these flamer towers like gold dust. Here we are. These things. This will save you. If you're on the south, this is the thing that will keep you afloat. This is your lifeboat to this pressure that's currently being applied to you. If I'm south now, I'm asking a inhumane offensive effort from these 2 guys before we hit a 50% cap. I'm saying to Darknade and Coffee Owl, like, whatever you need, ask for it, we'll send it to you. We need you to stall the bugs coming down whilst we build this wall up. I'd be grabbing at least 4 people out of my 20-person team and saying to them, look, walls, we need them. And big, oh, they've done it. The south of, are now, unfortunately, experiencing a much more evolved, let's see if we can spot one, much bigger, much more violent, much more aggressive, much healthier version of the bugs. They've jumped up one more leap into tier 3. We should see them appear on the map not too far away from here. And yeah, although most of the waves will still be brown, small bugs, and pink-shelled medium bugs, we will see the emergence of some of the larger blue-shell bugs, and they are not easy to deal with. And they mostly will run you down. You know, you need to have incredible kiting in order to kind of avoid that. So here we are. There they are. The blue bugs. I kid you not, if you're on the map right now and you see this, you will be thanking your... Oh no. The flame towers are on the wrong side. Oh no. If only they had just like one, just a single tower here. Look, this is a blueprint of a wall. This is an idea, a dream of a wall. We dream of walls being here. However, a wave that is mostly mediums, threaded in with a couple of big bugs, are now very uncomfortably close. Not only to main base, but to the silo itself. And these guys do not mess around. They will pull up your buildings. They will rip the life out of you. These need a considerable defensive effort. And as you can see now, they're shredding the south. This mining patch just got decimated in the space of less than 30 seconds. Now, that's one wave making it through. This is another. And there's another. Again, so close to getting that wall down. So close. But they cannot afford to lose multiple labs here. This is really expensive. You know, arguably I'd rather lose some smelting than lose any labs, because you lose the science inside of it as well. Damn. Now, they don't die from this. This isn't a killer blow, but it's certainly an uncomfortable position to be in. And again, as you can see here, Pistachio's got a gun. This guy's barely taking any damage. And we're at 52% evolved, right? So he's just unloaded multiple clips of ammunition onto this thing, and it's done nothing. Meanwhile, he goes back and just keeps detonating the rest of this patch. He will eventually die, but behind him, there will be many, many more. Normal difficulty should be renamed to fucking hard. I think we missed the timing a little bit here. You know, walls. Oh, damn, that is just horrific. You do not want to see that. Most of your labs have been wrecked. You can rebuild the smelting, that's fine, but you need these labs to keep working, and they just aren't and won't. And as we can see here, this is how defense should be. I'll keep tabs on what's happening up here, obviously, but this is how defense should be. You have a wall. And obviously, this isn't laziness from the south. Like, they've been timing attacked. They've been pushed out of position at the perfect time. Worst time for them, best time for the north. Here we go. So enemies hit the wall. They start attacking the wall because they can't go in. They have to break through the wall first. And they get caught into this area where fire is thrown down. As we can see a firing arc from each of these flame towers that overlap. And effectively the fire DPSs them down, kills them off as they sit within the fire. And all we have to do is replace the walls that they kill, and that is a wave dealt with. So yes, they've chunked a little bit into the wall, but I'd rather them kill this than this. So if I'm on the south, if I'm saying to everybody, if you're not, oh no. Okay, I thought that was power. Okay, this is just a kind of a mixed patch prod. I'd be worried about them slamming into power right now. In fact, any bug slamming into power is complete GG. The North have finished purple science research, but there's no way they get purple up, right? Oh, they're going to go for it. They are actually going to go for it. You got to respect it. Jimmy50 does not... He's a savage, man. That individual is a savage cabbage. They're about to lose. Oh no. Dude, this tower, they don't have many of these flame towers, so losing one of them, even one, is way too devastating for their economy. And again, another wave of bugs just comes round the edge, looks at the mix patch smelting, goes yum yum, licks its lips. If they do have lips, I don't know if biters have lips. Licks their fangs, their beaks, and they plow on towards more devastation. Like a homing missile of pain. They're just coming for your power, they're coming for Quaby. And as you can see now, grenades are effective, but you need more of them, right? It takes you longer to down a group. And again, if you hit any of this acid down here, also will die too. They just become too strong. Eventually you need physical defenses, which we have some of, but not all. And yeah, this wall needs to be a lot larger, and it needs to be down. Let's take a look real quick at research. The first, oh damn. So the North managed to make military and blue before the South made any military. That is wild. How has that happened? Am I missing a trick here? Because surely you'd be, if you're the South, you'd be ahead in research. Is that the gap? No way. There's no way that's the gap. There must have been like a severe period of time where nothing was happening. There was no research, or there was no progression in the base. And that you know what, that coincides probably with the base getting smashed up and the rebuild required for it. Still though, terrible. You don't want to be here in the position that the South are in. Meanwhile, the North, just with impunity, carry on. They have had nothing to worry about. This has been a dream for the North. This is the kind of game you wish to play. This is the kind of game you wish your enemies had. I will say this though. If the South win this, that is going to be one hell of a comeback. It's not impossible. I have seen much worse games in terms of game state for either side being behind or about to die. Swing the game back in their favor. Stranger things have happened. Honestly, I've seen it happen. So I'm hoping it does. I'm hoping we're here. Rather than just a death by 1,000 cuts, slow disintegration into nothing, and eventually the South silo explodes. I'm hoping we see a resurgence, a fight back. Because the military spam now needs to be turned off, right? This isn't really going to be doing what you want it to anymore. Like, military spam has run out of road. They were having power problems. I'm sure they've sorted that out by now. Do we have any level of outposting at all? Not really. Some shipbuilding. And they're just sweeping their lines. Okay. They don't need research anymore. Interesting. So the North, this is an all-in strategy. If the North don't get the killing blow here, if they don't manage to do this, then I'm worried about this. I'm worried about their future, their longevity in the game, because ultimately, if you just decide right now that, not only are we not producing science anymore, we're boxing it up, I would just stop making it, right? This is consuming power, it's consuming items that you might need later on. They're not, like, throwing green in your, and red jugs at this point will do nothing. It might put the percentage by like a 0.1 or 2%, but purple is a death sentence. This is the final blow. This is the hammer blow that ends the game for the South. And if they can manage it, and it is a big if they can get their wall up, and if they can get those flame towers down, and again, the flame towers are working. Coffee Owl is in his car. He's kiting the bugs. This is how you do it. This is how it needs to get done. Get in a vehicle which is faster than the bugs. Get their attention and lasso them away from the base, right? Because they'd rather kill you than kill buildings. So by getting into a car and looping around them and basically training them, get them into a long chasing train. Perfect. Coffee Owl's got it right. You can pepper them with grenades and slowly whittle them down to nothing. It's slow, it's arduous, and it's intensive. Like, you need to be able to, like Coffee Owl, if he manages to win this game, he'll need to do this for at least 30 minutes with very little time to break, very little time to stop. Other than healing up his car, he needs to consistently go into the map, catch a wave, drag it away from the base, grenade, and then go on to the next one. And coincidentally too, Dark Grenade needs to either do the same. Okay. He's making flamer ammo? This isn't meta, surely. Yeah, I know, dude, I know. Now we're at 9.9 to 63.8. And they have, I mean, to be fair, you've got to give them credit. The South were about to explode. I mean, they were very close to losing everything. And look, they've rebuilt. They've gotten it back on track. There's so much damage here. So many of these buildings have taken an absolute beating. And they persist. They persist. They carry on. The South, they have an indomitable spirit. They're saying, no, not today. What do we say to the god of death? Flamer ammo's meta, especially when you don't have... Interesting, yeah. Because my next... Ooh. This is problematic. I would absolutely throw. You're 100% right. The North have enjoyed a bit of an armchair ride. I mean, look at this. They still have only small bugs. And Zero Sun, for the rest of this game, can just throw little grenades. He could probably get out the car and melee them, and he'd be fine. At 10%, not an issue. Meanwhile, in Mordor, in the depths of hell, these guys, right? And on top of that, Jimmy is just catapulting. The minimal amounts of purple that are being created are going over. Now, my question is, how much of this can they produce? Because they had a buffer of red chips, which eventually will run dry. So, yeah, I don't think they make thousands of purple signs, but they probably make a few hundred. And if that is the case, damn, yeah. Although there we go, we see the fire damage. That is effective. With no do you know, we might need to name, like, the North needs to be like Rivendell, and then the South is like Mordor. I do like that. Some niche Lord of the Rings references, but I'm down. I'm here for it. Here are the positives. Sorry. 15 minutes ago, this world didn't exist. These flamers were a dream that the South wished they had, and now they have them. Not everywhere. They're not completely covered in defenses, but they have enough to stay alive, right? With this, you can stay alive to 90%. Beyond that, you need to throw to the North. So actually, here's a good thing. Let's say I'm the captain of the South. I'm not sure how I got myself in this position, but I'm here. I'm teleported into the game right at this position now. First thing I do is I tell my threat farmers to either stay at the front end or bin this off and come home. Now, I would argue that flamer ammo looked really, really useful, so stick with it if you can. If you can get it back up and running, make flamer ammo. If not, come back home and make poison capsules. Make as many poison capsules as you can from any of the resultant areas that haven't been tapped. So, you know, we've got iron patches here, there's a couple of coal patches out here we haven't tapped up, and get them down. If I'm in main, I'm talking to my builder nerds and I'm asking for lasers, boys. In fact, if anything, I would have asked at the beginning of the game, if I had an outposter, I would have asked for an outpost to be made. And bare minimum, get them to do my flamer towers for me. Lord Elrod has enjoyed peace for far too long, yes. The age of the elves. It's soon to be over. It's just... they're so close to having this stable. So close. And they're just about there. And unfortunately, just as they get the right level of defenses down for this level of threat, it will be 90. And they'll be dealing with behemoths. And so here is my question to you. Have the South made a mistake by not throwing any science? Because if I have a look here at the historical data of who's thrown what, every single throw has been from this. Oh no, 9 red jugs went to the North. But other than that, lads, look at this. The South and the South and the South, they throw and they throw and they throw. That's all they've done. They've just thrown signs. My question is, why did the South not throw anything? Now again, I know that they were bombarded a little bit early on, but in the first 25-30 minutes, they could have if they wanted to, if they chose to. They need to get some orcs made, dig up some mud, slap some orcs together. But yeah, I don't know why they didn't do it. I find it perplexing, really, that the modern kind of game is played in a way where we're not capitalizing on mistakes that well. In chess, if this was to be like equated to a chess game, not throwing a punch is almost like putting your queen out to be taken for free. You know, you have the privilege of pressuring them whenever you want, and not making the most of that privilege, I think, is a massive fail. Huge fail. You can have, if the North were at 20% or even 30%, they would have to look at defenses. They would have to start doing something different. Instead, they can build out in the open. They've had a threat farmer do some threat farming because the bugs are easy to kill. Make them harder to kill. Make them denser in harder to kill bugs. So obviously not more mediums, more big bugs. Don't sit at 10%. Make them go to 20. Make them go to 30. They're just too comfortable here, and they will cruise. I'm sad to say this. I don't want to make this a thing, but if the South don't throw a punch, they are going to lose, and the North will have cruised one of the easiest games I've seen in a long time. Credit to the North play. Credit to them. They have gotten things up in rapid timing. Making sure that they get purple up in the first 45 minutes is very strong. But you can't tell me that there wasn't an opportunity here for this to be stopped. For any level of pressure to be put on the North. It's wild. I might talk to the captains of either side afterwards and get a bit of an understanding as to what the plan was. Not to throw salt on a wound or to twist the knife, but just say, look, before the game started, what was the plan? What were you looking for at the beginning? What were you hoping for at the end? And what stopped you from doing it, or what helped you to do it? Now we can see bosses coming in. These bugs with health bars over the top of their head, these are bosses, and they're incredibly difficult to kill. As you can see here now, the flame tower, or these flamers, are dropping tons of damage on top of them, and they're barely taking damage. So if you can imagine another wave hitting the wall in a different area, like, still alive. The North is playing checkers, the South is eating the pieces. Oh God, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's easy. I admit, it's easy for us to sit here and talk about what we would have done. I'm fully committing, and I say this all the time. I'm fully committing to playing again because I think, in fact, I don't think, I know, I'm 100% sure. If I was on the South, the North would be feeling some pain easily. You have, I'm just going to eyeball out a mix patch here. Take this mix patch with this coal patch, go and build me some spam. Go and make this happen in the first 15 minutes of the game. Take 2 or 3 of you and do it, and that's it. That's all I need. That's all I need from some of you and my team. Instead, this is a play. I don't know what we're doing here, though. Are we gearing up for... I don't know what we're doing. I'm struggling to understand. It's good they're making use of this mix patch. Don't get me wrong. This is a good thing. But can we make flame towers here? With all of this raw resource, can we make flame towers? What I've done is I'd do what I'd always do. Build walls and defenses as soon as... Yeah, mate, honestly. If you're on my team, if you're a prospective pick on my team, and you put in the little description box, I'm doing walls, I'll pick you every single time. They're preparing for you, I know. I can't believe we've gotten to that point in the game. Genuinely cannot believe. I genuinely thought one team would have folded by now. Oh, I see. I don't think they have time. I think this is over. It's just a slow strangulation. This isn't a quick death. This is a slow burning. So they're burning their oil reserves, and eventually things will get cut off. So as you can see here, pipes will get blitzed by the bugs. The bugs will perforate into their defenses, again making it through. The wall isn't completely enclosed. There are gaps. The bugs can still come through. And again, for any of you who aren't defensive experts, and I'll need to do a talk on this or a video on this, shoulder joints, these 90-degree angular areas of your defenses, are the weakest by far. Beyond that, having anything that encroaches upon water is your second weakest area. So yeah, you need to be very careful. If they manage to keep, probably they have a win. I mean, yeah, if wishes were fishes, if, and again, it's a very large if they can get this up and running, they may have a chance. The North have no defenses, by the way. There's nothing. And they're not building walls. Right? They're not building walls. They're still committing to spam. Space Age Biter battles when? Rubashko? I think I pronounced that right. Sorry, mate, if I butchered your name. Very soon. I had a great end of last year. I don't talk that much about it, but I got engaged last year and took a little bit of time to square some stuff away IRL. In 2026, I have a lot of time to stream, and I will be streaming. 100%. Just a decent throw. Everything they had will put... Yeah, I agree. You know, like 100 yellow jugs. I know that we can use a calculator. 100 yellow jugs will take them somewhere in the region of about 60-70% here. And again, the North will not be able to deal with that. They don't have the tech. They are living in a utopia. A violence abject... Jason can't talk. Words. A violent-less utopia up north. This is Rivendell, isn't it? Genuine. This is Rivendell. Look at this. Look at these bugs. He can run them over. His car just zooming around, getting free kills. You're not wrong. You are correct. You could potentially stick a box and pull this science off, because you are racking up a lot of unused science. And potentially with that, racked up box, you could then start, pushing the pressure. I think it's criminal. It's criminal that the North are at 12%. The South are at 80%. Bear in mind, when they hit 90%, the bugs stop evolving. They get to behemoths, and then they just get tankier. So once they hit that green shell bug, that's it. Oh, these bosses are nightmarish as well. In many ways, due to their own hubris, I'd like the North to lose this to a yellow push, to a yellow send. They need to hold the line. Love isn't always on time, I believe, is the what a song. Hold the line. Do 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 do. Love isn't always on time. No. I'm probably going to get copyright struck for that, but what a song. I need to add that to my playlist. That is a classic. Yellow bomb. I like it. A Mordor nuke. A nuke from the depths of Auckland. Yeah, I'd love to see it. But we are far away. I mean, they're getting it down. They are carrying on as if nothing is happening, as if there is no problem. It's like, don't look to our wall. There's nothing happening down here, guys. Pay no attention to the crumbling defenses of our base. Pay no attention to the boss that's been alive for far too long. I may tell you what, though, flamed. Have they buffed this? I need to do some testing. I am so far out of the meta. We almost never, and I mean this, never ever would build flamethrowers. Now I get if you're under the pump, then you use whatever you have available to you, right? And if it's just flame towers flame throwers, and then go for it. But Jesus, dude, that has never been a thing up until now. Here it is, and there we go. Poison capsules are on the board. If ever a swing is to happen now, it is through it's a two-stage process. One, every single player who's doing defense on South needs to intelligently kite the bugs. They cannot bring the bugs into areas of production that they will sacrifice the buildings over themselves for. So you must have. Sorry, RJD, I'm just slightly spouting off, and then I'll get to you, mate. But welcome in. This is a great game, but holy crap, the South they're drowning at the moment in pressure. You need intelligent kiting. You need to bring these bugs into areas of production that you don't mind losing. Secondly, on top of that intelligent kiting, you need poison capsules. It's the only way to deal with late game bugs. Right, so intelligent kiting, number one, because the wall exists in some areas, and in some areas it just doesn't. And secondly, get yourself some poison capsules, and make sure if you're dragging the bugs anywhere, it's into other structures that you can afford to lose. As you can see, RJD, I'll catch you up real quick. The North have no defenses. They have been threat farming simple, basic bugs, and their threat is at 13%, which is nothing. The South are at 83%. Their wall is crumbling fast. They're dealing with bosses. They're almost about to deal with behemoths. They haven't thrown any punches, and that's due to the fact that North had incredibly strong early game military science. We're on normal difficulty, by the way, so obviously, early spam does kind of work. However, and this is the kicker, if Carl and the guys on this, it's not Carl's not the captain down here, but he's leading the charge here with the soldier. If they can turn these yellow buildings on, and if they can fund these yellow buildings, whilst everything else around them is on fire, this is literally the meme. With that, there's that dog sitting at the coffee table, and it's like, this is fine. Having a coffee whilst the whole of his house is on fire. This is fine. Nothing to see here. You need to get those bugs away from these buildings. You need to get them out of this area. I don't care. Run past them, aggro them, and drag them out. You can't have this. You need them back. You know, and it's almost like it's just a little bit too late. They are 5 minutes too late. They didn't have enough flame towers to push the initial wave back, and so this wall has never been fully fit and fully working. There is fog of war, yes. So as spectators, we see you know, everything. But if you're on north or you're on south, you will only see parts of the map. So we get afforded the opportunity to see everything. However, just kill it, just get rid of it. I really want the south to come back. I should be you know, bipartisan. I should want both teams to do well. But holy crap, if they can, this will go down. And a lot of speculation here, but this could go down as one of the biggest swings if the South can hold. I'm saying South Korea could potentially be best Korea. At the moment, Elf Korea up north, Elf Korea up here is having a wonderful time. This is a trip to the park with an ice cream in your hand in beautiful weather. This is being at sea and capsizing. We are looking at... I'm fair play. I've got to say this to the Southern defenders. They have been struggling for almost 35 minutes now, and they have not stopped once. Everybody has been flying about. So even if they lose, even if they try, you know, everything they can and they still lose, they have done everything they possibly could have done to defend. I just think that maybe some timings got slightly missed. You know, some research timings got slightly missed. They kind of prioritize certain things over other things on the South, and they're kind of paying the price for that now. So what do we need to see? Intelligent kiting, number one. So you need to get yourself into a car because the bugs are faster than you right now. You need to not drag the bugs into areas that you want to keep alive, right? You need your labs alive. You need your yellow signs alive. Everything else, sacrifice it. Throw it to the gods. Say, do you know what? I don't need military spam anymore. So just take this. I get to stay alive and throw 5 more poison capsules, and we live to fight another day. We live to fight another day. But yeah, yellow is too ambitious for this game mode. I will be shocked and overwhelmingly impressed if they manage to create yellow signs and throw it from south to north. I will stand up and clap, because they should never ever be able to get there from this position. And it's not a mistake from the north to the south. That's just pure hard work. That's grinding out the chance, the mere opportunity, the dream, a thread of a win. But it certainly does not mean that they will. But if they get a single yellow jug, I will commend the effort, because it should almost be impossible. And I say that as if I'm tempting fate. Here we go. So you need a car, and you need to kite the bugs. You need to collect as many of them as possible and make the most. Oh no trees. Here we go. And throw poison caps. So you grab them together. Every bug following you is another bug that isn't going into the base, right? This is massive. In fact, Darknade may be making the MVP play of this game, because if any of these bugs crashed into any of this, it's just another 3, 4 or 5 minutes of defending with no progress made. So Darknade, take a bow, man. This is good threat farming. This is almost ghosty level threat farming. And I say fair play. If I could give out awards, you know, post-game ghosty awards, one would go to Darknade, 1000%. That is, and also Coffee Owl. Is Coffee Owl south? I think there was another threat farmer down here with him, and they've had an incredibly strong game, considering how adverse. Yeah, dude, godlike. Honestly, the thing is, it's easy to sit here and just go, that's really good. But in the middle of doing it, like a single miss input, you crash into a power pole or a tree, you die, your car dies, you lose everything you have, and the team are just at an impasse. Are they? Oh, it's alive. It's growing into life. But they're still so abject. But again, look, Darknade has managed to kite them around. He's de-aggroed the bugs off of the walls. They're off the wall. They're onto him. And if he can continue to do that, and again, it's this cycling. You know, it slowly grinds you down. Doing 1 wave is okay. Doing 2, 3, 4 waves is fine. Do this for an hour, and a lot of people will just make a mistake. They'll make a misinput. They'll crash into something. They'll run out of fuel. They'll run out of resources. something will go wrong. However, these poison capsules, as you can see, doing incredible amounts of damage and just obliterating the health pool of these big bugs. That's how you win. That's how you win. Even if they get through, find a way to drag them into something that you can lose. Hey, dude, boxes, fuck it. Whatever you need to do. If you want to win this game, if you want to progress into the tournament, if you want to make it to the finals, you will do every single thing you can, make every play that's possibly available to you to win the game and not to lose. You know, because sometimes you play not to lose, right? And by surviving and staying in the fight long enough, and this is not easy. This is really not easy to survive. But every second that you do that, you turn the table a little bit on the North. And, you know, the North start dealing with slightly stronger bugs, and you send some yellow, and then they start collapsing. And then before you know it, maybe, and I'm just saying maybe here, this silo, at the end of the game, might be the one that goes bang. But we'll have to wait and see. And you know what? For the first game of the year, I have to say, it didn't start off incredibly well. I just thought it was a pretty normal game. I wouldn't say average, normal, you know, in terms of where it was going and, you know, spam being put down. But the end of this game has gone really well. Like, holy shit. I haven't focused on the North at all because there's nothing to focus on. They're just scaling up. They're just scaling up and they're building more purple, and I'm sure they're going to go to yellow as well. You know, this is nothing to talk about. So I can't focus on the North at all because I'd be missing out all this action down here. This is like a war zone, dude. Genuine. This is like an actual. Look at this. And they carry on. These are the kind of players I want in my team. If you ever ask yourself, like, what kind of a player would I want? Like, do you want a player that can do really well when the game is easy and they can sit on a rotating belt and just watch the world go by? Do you want this kind of player in your team? I'm not saying this, I'm not trying to point out this one particular player, but like, it's easy to play when the game is easy to play, right? When the game isn't giving you any problems to solve or any jeopardy to kind of come up against. But when you've got stuff like this, and you die and you have to come back and you have to get more stuff and you have to rebuild this, and there aren't many of these, so how you place them is important. And there's another boss and he's killed you like 10 times, but you come back again. I want those players. I want them in my team because they show a level of resilience and a level of playstyle that you don't see in every player that you bump into. It's easy to play when the game is easy to play. I want a hard game and I want my team to experience it because I get to know who I'd pick again. So the games that I've lost, it's the players that stay in the fight till the very end of the game are the ones that I will always go back and pick again. Not because it's like belligerent ignorance of, and again, we're at behemoths, by the way, I should have really pointed that out. These green shelled guys are the biggest they're going to get, but they will get stronger and bigger, but they won't evolve beyond this green shell. And as you can see, with all the damage coming onto them, they're just having a laugh. They're just chilling out, you know. I want the players that will stick to the very end, that won't give in, that won't give up. And certainly, oh my god, holy shit, it's not on. Do we dare to dream? Do we seriously dare to dream? Let the chips flow. A green wave caresses its way across the south, across the war-torn, desolate front line. A wave of hope, a vein of green chips, floods towards the beginnings of potentially a southern win. Do we dare to dream? Do we dare to believe that at 92% on the south, the 18 players have weathered what would be normally a lethal storm of pressure to survive long enough to build up a strong enough punch, even whilst they're on their knees defending, to win the game? I really want to believe. And I'm not just saying that as like a commentator trying to hype the game up, but this would go down as one of the best games I've commentated on in a long time, purely because of how desperate this has been for the South. And they have not stopped. They have not stopped at all. They are continually, belligerently going back to the bugs and going, no, the game's not over. I didn't hear no bell. You know, it's over when I say it's over, not just because you've broken my wall down, not just because you've killed off everything I've put in front of you, and not because they have bosses. It's over when I say it's over. And they're close. They're closer than I thought they'd get. But then how long? How long can you... Like, eventually, you can't... They can't produce as many towers as they're losing. You know, I'd argue that now, like, holding onto walls is the most important, impactful play you can make. If you don't have cars and you can't kite them anymore, oh, damn. They just need they just need to keep their heads on a swivel now. Guys, we're so close to getting this up and running. So tantalizingly close. It is unreal how close we are. And yet, they've just killed off a box of poison caps. We're not making them that fast. Oh no. Don't die now. Don't die. Dream. We can dream together, chat. We can dream. I should be impartial. I'm not. I'm not impartial anymore. I'm a Southern believer. You know, South Mordor will rise again. I mean, I haven't seen a map of Middle Earth, but was there a... Oh no, they're killing the lines off now. The flow of green ships is going to be halted. Do we have any yellow signs being produced? We haven't, no. We still need some sulfuric acid. Is that because some pipes got broken? Why is this off? What are we... Ooh, this is scary. You don't want anything in this area. Nothing. Especially anything this size. You need to... We spoke about this earlier, guys. You need to intelligently kite and bring them away and into things that you can afford to lose. You cannot afford to lose any of this yellow production at all. They have lasers. Lasers are weak though, and they're super expensive. You can't afford to lose any of these, and you've just lost one, and you're about to lose more of them. No, that's such a fuck up. Oh, that's wounding. You won't have enough of them to lose that many of them now. If anything, and you guys will know this as well, like if you put a laser down, you need to protect it more than anything. Is this the beginning of the end? Oh, it has to be. Damn. They made me believe. I was full of hope. Whimsical hope that the South may prevail, and yet here we see them collapsing. Disintegrating slowly but surely. Bleeding out drop by drop. And you know what? You can't fault them. They never got off the ground. They never really threw a punch. And that's the only shame of this. If the North managed to just push to 50% even, you know, 50%, they wouldn't get to build like this. A one thick wall, you know? They would have to defend. It would be an imperative to defend. And so I think that this game ultimately was lost at the beginning. Conceptually, it was lost before anything was really ever placed down. It was more about, you know, where do we start the game off and what do we do? And I think that they just missed a chance to throw a punch. In fact, they didn't just miss one chance. Let's be totally honest. They missed probably a couple of 100 chances to throw and put pressure. And with that, the first game of 2026, it was a good one. It was a good one. We didn't really have to focus on the North too much because the North didn't really get put under any pressure. At 1 hour and 14 minutes, the South explode. They got to behemoths. They almost got to 100% evolution. GG's everyone. Holy. And with that, I will end our prediction. Damn, that was a heartbreaking game. Seriously heartbreaking game. Because it so wanted to just go on for another 10 minutes. You know, another 15 minutes, and that outcome is severely different to the one we currently have. And it's just such a shame. But then again, you know, arguably, I've talked a lot about the South. The North played that well. So yeah, GG's everyone. I'm not entirely sure what happens now. But that is game number 1 of the tournament. I'm not sure how deep we are. And nobody voted on the North. Damn, dude. Somebody could have been paid out big here. Holy. Never mind. Game number 1. For the next tournament game, guys, or tomorrow, actually. I'm going to stream tomorrow again. As stone GGs are put into the ground. I will have my drawing tools, hopefully. back up and running, and hopefully I'll have chat on screen as well. I'm not sure why today it didn't come up. It should have. But that being said, thank you for joining me. Again, I'm humbled every time you guys choose to tune into this stream. Obviously, we're trying to just make it a little better each time. So, yeah, until tomorrow, I guess I'll say goodbye. Do you have anybody that you think would enjoy being raided? Should we raid somebody, guys? What do you think? I always like to raid somebody who is maybe learning the game, or let's take a look on Twitch. Let's see if there's anybody up there that would enjoy just a quick, just a quick 2-minute raid. Let's see, is there anybody out there that we can drop you guys off onto? Unfortunately, no Factorio people. Troopin. You guys know Troopin, right? From YouTube? Let's raid Troopin. He's only got 2 people watching him. Why is that? Let's raid Troopin and say hello, guys. Let's do that. He's a good guy. He's a funny guy. Remember to say hello. And with that, guys, I think I'll see you at the next one. Enjoy, and I hope you have a good weekend. Goodbye, everyone.